Hello. I see two people here. Um, I'll go ahead and start. Hopefully some more people will show up. 7 o'clock's not the best time. 7 p.m. Eastern time on a Saturday night probably, and I didn't do a great job of promoting. Um, I'm gonna give it one more minute, maybe 2 more minutes, and I'll start. I'll just go ahead and start, and then whatever people miss is what they miss. My name is Charles White. My real name is Charles White. Bastille is a pen name I used at the urging of my publisher for the book Magic Land. They didn't think the last name WHITE would do well in an SEO setting. So I went ahead and changed it on Medium as well to try and get my, just to be consistent. As it turns out, I don't think the SEO was affected either way. And I have two more novels in the works, and I think I'll actually use my real name for that, which will be confusing from a Medium standpoint. But Medium makes it easy to change names, and people will ultimately not really see the difference. Anyway, I began the process of writing for Medium when I started a novel called Rust of Souls back, like 2020. And it took 3 years to write, and it's a pretty political book. It's a alternative history novel about the British winning the Revolutionary War and emancipating the slaves immediately after they win. And I thought that one good way to try and promote the novel would be to write political stuff on Medium. I'm pretty left leaning, and I thought, but as left leaning as I am, I'm kind of I'm sort of a socialist at heart, but I'm also sort of hypocritical from the standpoint that, I've always worked. I have a software development background. I've worked in advertising, and I've always worked for big companies. So, I kind of talk out of both ends of my mouth. I've got to put food on the table, but at the same time, I'm probably left of Bernie. So the reason I thought about this topic was because, a long time ago, back in the 80s, we talked about stuff, we talked about, conservatives. I had a lot of conservative friends, and we would sit across the table and have coffee together. Um, and, oh, and hi, Lucy, and hi, Julie. Julie says, hello, we are interested people. Great. We would talk about stuff, right? I mean, I don't know, I'm in my 60s now, and so maybe I'm getting a little long in the tooth, but we would sit around and we'd talk, and we'd go to, be at Starbucks or maybe at the bar having a beer, and we would just talk about stuff. And I kind of miss that. I don't, my friends don't need to be, no, don't need to think like I do politically. And then, man, Trump got elected, and it just all went to hell, right? I mean, just absolutely just got destroyed. And so, I thought, well, okay, how do we write, where everyone is in an echo chamber, right? We all pretty much are attracted to the to the sounds that we make, right? I make, I write about things like, well, one of my highest rated, or my best viewed stories was a story about an Austrian town where they tried a jobs program that guaranteed jobs for everybody. So that's the kind of stuff I'm interested in. I'm interested in things like, FDR's, WPA, and reenacting that kind of type of thinking in the United States. And, but at the same time, I don't have anything against the old conservatives. It's just a different way of thinking. It's about economics. It's about sometimes it's also about social life, and how society works. I've always been very interested in egalitarian type of solutions to problems in the United States, and I miss that. And so I thought, well, how do we get out of the echo chamber? And I can't say I have an answer for that. I wish I did. So I thought what I would do is sort of talk about the way I've been trying to think in terms of dealing with that question as a political writer. I don't only write politics. I try and have interests in other areas. I like to, write humor pieces. I like to write just kind of whatever's on my mind. But I would say 70% of my stuff is politics, and I try to throw humor into it. Unfortunately, it's kind of dark humor because that's just kind of where we're at right now. And I don't really have another way of dealing with the politics of America today without being without throwing some kind of humorous light on it. It just drives me crazy otherwise. And I imagine a lot of people can kind of understand that. So the question is, how do we get out of the echo chamber? Well, maybe we don't, right? I mean, maybe we really can't, because for me, let me give you an example of somebody who actually I sort of admire from what I would say is the other side of economic thinking. And that's a guy named Charlie Sykes, who's responsible for an outlet called The Bulwark. That's Bulwark, if you're interested in looking it up. And basically what he is he's a conservative Republican, but he's an anti-Trumper, right? And he's got a newsletter that sometimes makes the Lincoln Project, if you're familiar with them, look like child's play when it comes to going after Trump. So, I guess for me, I'm not interested in holding arguments right now about the things that Charlie Sykes would probably want to talk about from an economic standpoint, right? Hold on one second. There's a moderation button wants me to do something. Susan Warner. I don't know what he wants me to do with Susan Warner. I see that you're in here. Maybe questions? No, I don't know. Anyway, sorry about that. And Carol Lennox is saying, I cut my teeth almost literally on FDR programs. Right. I'm certainly benefiting from now because I'm technically on Social Security. So, oh, Susan says, just ignore that. Okay. Yeah, sorry. I'm also looking at the chats, and so I'm kind of mulling stuff over in hyper speed while I'm trying to do the talk. So, I think for me, the question is, how do we break out of the echo chamber? Is it possible? I think a little bit it is, and so my approach lately has been to try and do, all right, now I should backtrack a little bit. I still do a lot of rants, and anybody who reads me regularly knows I do a lot of rants. But I also have been trying to do a lot of more solution-based type of articles. One of them was the small town in Austria that had a jobs program it was a universal jobs program, guaranteed jobs for everybody in town. Another one was a long time ago, I did a long article about how I was kind of pleading with then candidate Biden to suggest, as part of his campaign, a WPA 2.0. And for those of you who may not be familiar with WPA, that's Works Progress Administration. And what that did was it created jobs for for people, it was back in the Depression, so they were just out there trying to create jobs for everybody. But the interesting thing about it was that, things like, movie theaters would get rebuilt downtown in these small towns, right? And so it was a plea to Biden, not that he'd ever read it, but it was a plea to Biden to say, we can appeal to rural America by creating a WPA that rebuilds, rural America, and that would benefit also urban areas as well. But Biden didn't need the urban area votes, and so I didn't really focus on that. I focused more on the needs of rural areas because the rural areas are undergoing, rural America is undergoing what urban America underwent 25 years ago. Excuse me. And so again, I'm trying to look at the chats while I'm trying to tell you about all this stuff. So I've been trying to focus my writing more on that. And, so can we get out of the echo chamber? I don't think, in a sense, because of the political situation we're in right now, that we truly can. I think that's kind of idealistic, because as long as there are people who think that the insurrection's okay, as long as there's people who defend Trump still, I noticed he's at 43. He was in a recent poll. He had 43% of a New York Times Siena poll. Now, you can look at that and say, well, that's got to be a one-off, right? I mean, no, there can't be 43% people who are still planning on voting for this guy. Can there be? After three indictments, that's not possible. I don't know, but it's concerning, that one poll would show that. And then I saw another poll before that showed something fairly similar, and as long as that's going on, I think the echo chambers are here to stay until he's gone, and I think one way or another, he will be gone. I mean, I don't imagine he's going to survive legally from what's happening. I just recently, I posted a story, I believe last night, about how Trump is how he's not he's not qualified, not qualified legally, constitutionally, to take office again, because he participated in insurrection. According to the 14th Amendment, Section 3, he's out. That's it. And what I did in the article was I pointed to two legal scholars that were from the Federalist Society. Now, the Federalist Society is, in case you're not familiar with them, Federalist Society is basically the guys who, and I say guys because I don't know that there's a lot of women that are responsible for this kind of shenanigans, much to, not to my surprise. This Federalist Society has spent the last 25 years, 35 years funding Supreme Court nominations and helping push through people like Kavanaugh and Clarence Thomas, and just basically changing the overall look of the court to give us what we're now up against. So it's significant that two Federalist Society scholars have pointed to this 14th Amendment Section 3 clause that Trump is not qualified, according to the Constitution, to be the president, to be reelected president. He's simply not qualified, and ultimately somebody is going to take this thing to court, and it's going to end up in front of the Supreme Court, in front of Federalist Society judges. And I think that's why it's significant that two scholars from the Federalist Society have written this paper, because uh, those are the people that are, the Federalist Society, whether we like it or not, are basically kind of running the show from the judicial on the judicial side of things right now. That won't change until Democrats get out there and start voting at the lower levels. They're going to have to start, voting for state at the state. I can't talk. I think they're going to have to start voting at the state level. They're going to have to start voting for, well, they really need to get into school boards too, as you can tell by current events within the school districts as well. But that's almost another talk. So anyway, that's where I'm at. I'm trying to find a way, so can we get out of the echo chamber? It would be nice if we could. I think ultimately, even if we do, that echo chamber is going to be filled with a lot of angry no Trumpers who aren't really that interested in talking about economic specifics, or Bidenomics or that kind of thing. People like Charlie Sykes or, the folks that are doing Lincoln Project, because they're too focused on getting Trump out of the Republican Party. They're still hoping that the Republican Party can be salvaged. My own personal opinion is I think it all should just get blown up. I mean, not literally, but I mean, I think our political system is toast. It's all about money. And I think most of the people who read me regularly are kind of on board with that. But I'm a pragmatist as well, and so my favorite people are people like AOC and her squad. But at the same time, if Biden runs, I'm going to vote for him. I got to vote. I can't sit it out. I think sitting it out is as bad as voting for the bad guy. Whether it's Trump and DeSantis is worse. I mean, he's like, I think he's too much of a buffoon. Excuse me, I gotta have a sip of water. I think it's too much of a buffoon to get anywhere, but if he did get somewhere, I think he'd be worse than Trump because he knows how to implement his evil policies, and he won't piss off the defense business. And somebody said, "Love your Michigan State mug." It's just water, no beer, even though it's Saturday night. Yeah, I want to leave time for questions. I don't know if I talked at all about anything you want to know about. I kind of wanted to let you know where I'm at, and I wish I had a better answer for, can we get out of the echo chamber? I think the answer is basically no, but we can probably, as a political writer, I know that I would like to do a better job of reaching out to people who, I don't care about the Trump voters. I really don't. I don't want to reach out to them. If they want to reach out to me, okay, as long as you're not saying you're going to vote for the guy. And that's the inherent problem that's inherent to the echo chamber, right? Is that the walls are thick, and so yeah, I'm going to open up to questions. Somebody has a question. Is there writing focused on the mindset rather than individuals? The Federalists have been here for 35 years. This is a bigger problem. I'm not sure I understand the question. I think there is. I think if you're talking about the mindset, and if you're talking about the mindset of the Federalists, I don't think the Federalists have an ideology, to be honest. I think their ideology is power, and some of their ideology is obviously some of the weird social stuff, that there, 34, 40 years ago, everybody was agreed on abortion. Then suddenly that became a thing, right? And there are a lot of Federalists who that's been their driving motivator for some of them. But I think a lot of them are just truly just interested in power. They want to control. They want to seize and maintain control of everything. And if you look at some of the stories about Clarence Thomas lately, that's indicative of that, right? The vacations he gets and all that, and it's all paid for by, his these power brokers that are, in the smoky rooms. I don't know if that answers your question. Don Hudson asks if you have a big political story, would I break it here? Or do you mean should someone else break it here? Gosh, I don't know. I would say no. I don't think Medium is really set up for that, because there's a lot of publications on Medium, and it takes most publications a little while before they get around to publishing a story. If they're big, I cut my teeth here on from a political standpoint with Scott Tarlow, who is a really fantastic editor for politically speaking, but he shut that down. But he was great, but it took a while, it could take 5-6 hours to go from submitting to a story to getting it approved. He was a really good editor too, so sometimes there'd be some back and forth. So the only way to break a story here would be to self-publish it, which is, that's how I started here. And that's the quickest way to do it, because it just goes right out. But I don't think the news agencies pick it up. So, the news agencies aren't following, Then Renee, I don't know if I've got that. Renee says there's really nothing one can say. I think that's in regards to the echo chamber. Yeah, I mean, that's true. Who is the top political outlet here? Same question. Or Don also wants to know. I don't know. Politically Speaking was the go-to place for me before it got shut down by Scott. I currently submit to Rome, which is a political, and I just joined another one, New Jersey, but New Jersey something. I can't remember the last name of it, the full name. If you just type in and Medium search New Jersey, and then look under, and then just hit enter, and then look under publications and the filter, you'll see it. Rome is Dan wants to know, what is Rome? Rome is a publication, one of the Medium publications that it's kind of new, but they specialize in the editor is from started Elemento, which is a pretty successful Medium publication. So he's expanded into politics, and he's good. I mean, but it's brand new. I've only published maybe 3 or 4 articles with him. So it's just a question of getting some, getting views, right? And yes, Nico, I will send a link. I'll drop a link in the chat. You can just I'll do that before this is over. And actually, I don't have much time. Catherine, you're here. Oh, nice. Hi, Catherine. As you know, I wrote an article about this a couple of weeks ago. My idea was to write about something personal that exemplifies a political issue and our solution, all from that personal point of view, and publish it in a non-political publication. In your opinion, would that be successful? Yeah, I love that idea. I never even thought of that. I've been adding a few stuff to Illumination, which has got a lot of, gets a lot of views. I think I actually did a fairly, um, I think I might have done a rant in Illumination to be fairly recently. I thought that would be kind of a risk, because, um, oh, okay. Renee says the note regarding nothing to say was regarding the drum bass. I'm more hopeful about the possibility of crossing the divide. Yeah, I am too, and I think that's important. You know, I know I said I was very left leaning, but I'm a pragmatist at the end of the day. And I have a lot of friends who are, my sister is a conservative; she hates Trump. And you know, it's important, to be able to just communicate. We get a lot. We get a lot of ideas from the other side, whatever side we're on. We get really good ideas from the other side. When I was younger in the '80s, one of the things we talked about that I kind of agree. One of the things an idea I heard from a conservative friend of mine was he was really irritated by the Democrats' focus on not allowing any kind of what's the word for it? Oh, I can't. Oh, any tort reform. I'm all on board on that. We could totally do some tort reform that both sides could agree on. I got I got an uh, I got an email or maybe a letter from some, I don't know, I don't remember, some law firm about a civil a lawsuit where, I don't know, I can't remember how much it was, but one of those huge tort cases, and I'll get what, $3 out of it, but the lawyers will pull in, probably $20 million. The law firm that, so that kind of thing, and I'm not saying, hey, everybody should be for tort reform. That's not my point here. My point is that some of those ideas come from the more conservative side of things, and we need to have that problem. We have big problems here, right? And we need to be able to, come together to talk about them. And I think part of the problem is we're not going to do that until we get rid of this big cancer that's, that's enveloping the country. Until we get rid of that cancer, we got to cut it out and get rid of it. And I'm hoping that Jack Smith cuts it out for us, and so that when he does that, I think that if you look at his indictment, if you look at Trump's most recent indictment, it's almost like Jack Smith is going, yes, 14th Amendment, man. That's just, this is all about Section 3. I read the indictment from page to page, each page of it, and it just screams Section 3. And, so I'm hopeful about that, but it's going to take a few years after he's gone to get people settled down, especially the MAGA folks. Any other questions? I know that I kind of hogged all the time with my, it's what I do. I rant, unfortunately, but that's what's nice about Medium, right? We all have an opportunity to use it as a rant machine. And you rant good, Catherine says. Thank you. I appreciate that. I do a lot of it. And that's one of the reasons I use Medium. That's one of the reasons I write on there. It lets me let loose. I don't have to walk around feeling, and you don't have to be a great writer. I don't know if I'm that great a writer. I think that, it's just, just say what you need to say. It feels good. It takes away the power of that 43% that Nico just was talking about again. And yeah, I will send that Medium link in the chat. Let me do that now. So you can go here. And you can find all my stories there. Let's see. Any other questions? It's 7:30. I don't know if this thing just shuts me down automatically or what, but I really appreciate everyone here. And hang in there. If you're concerned about the way things are, I think things are going to get better. I know that, and bless you, Maui. And I'm gonna say goodbye to everybody and thank you and take care.